What's up, everybody? I'm Dr. Stacy Spencer,
And I'm Rhonda Spencer.
and we are here for Naked and Unashamed, the podcast. Listen, so many married couples get caught up in a conundrum of confusion when they don't know who is this for? Am I giving you pleasure or are you giving me pleasure? How does this work? How do we both get what we want in the marriage? And so we want to talk about part two of The Will of Consent, which was originated with Betty Martin, a known sexologist, and she's teaching us the 4 different quadrants of how to please your spouse and who to know who the touch is for. So buckle up. We're getting ready to go back in for part 2.
We made it through the test. Strength and need, love and sex.
Hey everybody, we are back for part 2, and last week, babe, we touched on 4 different quadrants. Do you remember what they were?
Yes, so it's 4 quadrants. So it's giving and taking, allowing and receiving.
Yeah. And every time you make love,
You're in one of the 4.
you're in one of the 4. And so I want y'all to I want you to start thinking about when you're making love to your spouse, who is this for? Who's doing the doing?
And who's doing
The
the
receiving. Who is this? Somebody's doing and somebody's being done to. And so we talked about the first 2. If you didn't catch that last week, go back and catch the first 2, the giving and the taking. I want to move down to the bottom of the quadrant, and there is allowing and receiving. So in quadrant 3, when we talk about they touch you the way they want. They touch you the way they want. So up at the top, that's called taking. Can I touch you here? And my wife says, sure. She wholeheartedly says, sure, I would love to give you that. And I'm touching her the way I want.
which is allowing.
Right? And so I'm touching my wife because I love the way she feels. I love the way, if I'm touching her butt, I'm loving how round it is. I'm loving how the texture of her bottom. I'm feeling the curves of her bottom. I'm enjoying that touch. And she may or may not be getting as much joy out of it as I am. My hope is that she is. My hope is that she is. Okay, let's say that she is. Let's say she's getting something out of it. If I'm touching if you give me permission to touch you, and you're getting as much pleasure out of it as I am, what quadrant are you in?
I'm receiving.
Yeah.
So we move to the different quadrants if I'm enjoying something into the giving and the receiving quadrants.
So it's reciprocal.
Right.
I'm touching you the way I want to, and you're allowing me, but you're also enjoying it, and so she's receiving.
But if you're touching me the way you want to, and I'm just letting you do that, and I'm not getting anything out of it because I know you're just going to be moving through the house, then that's allowing.
Okay. She said moving through the house. So what's she talking about? She went back to an analogy she used on the last episode. When this is the way we communicate, and women, some of y'all, she jumped from one
They
thing to
understood what I was saying.
No, they did. So
Yes, they did.
on the first episode last week, we were talking about being in the kitchen, and she's doing something, and I came up behind her and gave her a hug, and I kept it moving, went to the other part of the house. She allowed me to do that, and then kept on because she knew it was just going to be brief. Or she's in the bathroom getting dressed, and she's naked, and I couldn't help myself, and I kissed her, and she allowed it, and I went back to getting dressed. That's what she was talking about.
That's it. See, you understood.
But they didn't.
That's what the ladies did. Thank you, ladies.
So allowing, there's this allowing part. And so let's think of another non-sexual piece about allowing. So my wife wanted a garden, a raised garden in the backyard. And my young men, they too were inquiring about a raised garden. Now, I grew up in the garden when I was in the country. And so I remember the labor that came along with it. So I wasn't really pumped up about going and getting a garden because it's like something else to do. But the more I thought about how much joy that would bring my wife and my sons, I'm like, you know what? I ain't all the way against it. So I allowed that. And that was a gift to my wife and to my sons. And when I got out there and started working and I allowed it to happen, I too found, wait a minute, this brings back some muscle memory. I remember being in the dirt. I remember, the nostalgia of snapping beans with my grandma when I was a little boy. And so even in allowing my wife to have something that she wanted, it stirred up something in me. Are y'all listening to what I'm saying? So let's go back to the bedroom. So every now and then, when your spouse asks you to do something that you may not be 100% passionate about, but because you love them, you allow them that. In the allowing, something ignites inside of you. Am I right about it?
You're right. You're right. And then so many things was going through my mind when you were saying that. But yes.
No, I want to know the things go through your mind. They want to know.
No, I'm thinking about different positions that we've done in the
Okay,
past.
go ahead. Like what?
Y'all have to come to the retreat.
Oh my gosh. Give them something.
Okay, so like we were trying a position that we used to do when we were much younger. And
What position is that? She's whispering. She's really whispering on the podcast. Oh my gosh. She said when we were younger, she was on her shoulders, up with her back up against the bed. Okay, what about that?
that's something that you would want. I was giving you a gift, but in the midst of it, I was enjoying it. So that's
when you finally got in that posture,
right,
position,
right.
First in your mind, you're like, ain't no way
No
this
way.
is going to be fun.
Right.
But when we actually did that position with you on your shoulders and me penetrating you, you said, oh, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
And so you got something out of it. And in all transparency, we're 55 and 54. And we haven't done that in a long time. Because we might have to have somebody come airlift
Call the
us. Okay.
Okay,
So
back. Come on, back.
We're back at it.
Okay.
Allowing. That was the third quadrant of allowing. Receiving is when, watch this, that touch is for you. They touch you the way you want. And I think this is so important because in marriage, a lot of times we settle for lame sex. And we just grin and bear it. It's like you putting too much teeth down there when you're giving me oral. When you could say, hey, can you use more lips? No teeth when you give me oral. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was doing it. But sometimes we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings.
That's it.
And we're sitting there grabbing the sheets and holding our breath because that's not what we want. The beauty in marriage is being able to ask for what you want and receiving it how you want it. Is that important?
It's so important because one, you don't want to be enjoying sexual intimacy one way and then something just doesn't feel right and you can't communicate that to your spouse and you suffer through it. That's not fun. That's not fun.
And I think I've said this in a previous episode, fellas. When your wife gives you instruction on how she wants it, instead of getting defensive and letting your ego be bruised, you simply say to your wife, thank you. So I'm going to give you an example. When I was trying to please my wife, and she said, baby, your beard is sticking me. And at first, my little ego was like, what? But then I had some empathy for her, and I'm like, how would you feel if something was sticking you, pricking you, while you're trying to enjoy something? That would block you from your pleasure. So I positioned my hand in a way that my beard would not come in contact with her sensitive area, and continue to give her pleasure. And I said, is that better? She said, yes, thank you. So it's not always about your ego when you're trying to give pleasure to your spouse. You've got to be able to check your ego and enter into that lovemaking moment as a perpetual student. You're always trying to learn every nuance of your spouse, to know, to read their body language, to know when you're on target and when you're off. Anything else you want to say about that?
And I think sometimes it's just using your words, because our spouses may get miscommunication based upon, our moans or our body movement. So use your words. Tell them whether that feels good or if it doesn't feel good. Can you go lighter? Can you go harder, faster, slower, whatever? Give them directions. Be out there like you're on the runway. Give them directions.
Yeah. Show me the way to go. I'm coming in. Yeah, I'm coming in. Come on. Yeah. You have to watch this. And when you're receiving, I think you need to enjoy receiving. I know that sounds real crazy, but how many of you are guilty of this? You're receiving, but you think about, what am I going to do to reciprocate? Have you ever done that?
It's almost like in conversation. If you're in a heated conversation, you're not listening to listen, you're listening to respond.
And so how does that translate sexually? How do you really embody the receiving moment full-heartedly?
Well, you have to capture the thought. And yes, because thoughts are going to come. You're going to think, oh, did I lock the door? Did I put this up? So just push them aside and just breathe back into, do
There
a couple
you go.
deep breaths and breathe and come back and be present at what you're at.
Breathe into the area where you're receiving the pleasure. So if you're feeling the pleasure of receiving that gift, whatever it is, whether they're touching you, stroking you, licking you, caressing you, be conscious of that. Don't go to the next thing.
Right.
Watch this. Orgasm is not the goal. The pleasure is the goal. And if you're conscious of receiving that pleasure and enjoying the pleasure, oh, his lips feel good on my mouth. Her hands feel good on my privates, my penis, whatever. It feels good when her nails are grazing my back. It feels good when he's rubbing my butt. Whatever it is, be in that moment. Fully embody the pleasure that you're receiving instead of rushing past the next part. You know what I mean? It's like going to a good movie and somebody spoils it for you by telling you how the movie ends. No, don't tell me how the movie ends. Let me enjoy the whole process of this movie. And that's what your lovemaking should be like. It should be like a great movie. You got an intro, you're building up to the drama, and then at the end there's the denouement. There's a resolution. And so a lot of us skip through the middle because we don't know who it's for. How would you tell women how to get out of their heads during the lovemaking moment?
We're gonna always have a list of things that need to be done, but so many times we spend our days rushing through our life, and even when you're with your spouse, you're rushing through y'all's life. Enjoy the time that you're together and breathe into it and be present, like, and just really feeling the touch. Just enjoy the moment. Be there.
Yeah. And breathe that sexual energy into whatever area you're receiving that pleasure. Breathe into that part of your body, but then concentrate on moving that erotic energy throughout your entire body. Because chances are, if you're focusing too much on that one particular part, you may prematurely reach your orgasm. Whereas if you're breathing deeply into that area where you're receiving the pleasure, and then concentrate on breathing that energy throughout your whole body, the orgasm will be intensified because you're breathing into that moment and truly receiving the full benefit of the pleasure that you're giving. So there's 4 quadrants. There's giving.
Right.
You're giving a gift, and you may not necessarily be sexually aroused in giving the gift, but it's just that it's a gift.
It's a gift.
At the bottom of the giving is the receiving.
Right.
You're receiving a gift from somebody. Now you take me on the taking part and the allowing.
Now, on the other side of the giving is the taking. And that is when you're taking something from your spouse, but you have the permission to do so, because that follows at the bottom with the allowing. They're allowing you to do something so that you can take it.
So let me ask you a hard question. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So if both spouses like to be touched and they say, how about we mutually masturbate tonight? You touch me and I'm going to touch you. What quadrant is that?
It's the giving and receiving.
It's giving and receiving? Giving and receiving.
Because those two are interchanging. The allowing and the taking, it's one or the other. So they're communicating, but it's not a dialogue. It's a one-way conversation. So when you're giving and receiving, you're communicating. And when you're taking and allowing, there's no verbal communication. It's one act.
When it's taking and allowing, it's just one act. Because, well, there's some communication because you got to get consent before you take.
You're right. But when you're taking, you're just getting the allowing, like your spouse is allowing you to do it. So it's not like they're going to get any pleasure out of it. That's when it becomes the giving and the receiving.
Why do you think this Wheel of Consent by Betty Martin, thank you, Betty Martin, for this wonderful tool, this Wheel of Consent, why do you think it's so important for couples to put this into practice in their bedroom?
It's important because sometimes as couples, we get stuck in a rut, and sometimes it is where one spouse is giving more or taking more than it should be. So sometimes it's not a 50-50 split or 100% participation. So when you are thinking about the Wheel of Consent, you can really think like, okay, am I being selfish? Did I not give my husband a gift? Or was I just a taker? So it allows you to kind of internally check yourself.
Because you don't want it to be imbalanced.
Not at all.
Because if you go to the ATM and you have not put any money into your bank account and you take a withdrawal out of the bank account, I'm pretty sure that you're going to get a slip that comes out of the ATM machine that says what?
It'll tell you what you took out and what your balance is.
Insufficient funds. If you ain't put nothing in,
Oh, yeah.
you ain't getting nothing out.
Okay.
But in a relationship, if you are making deposits, giving, allowing, when it's your time to take or your time to receive, your spouse doesn't mind because y'all have been all around that wheel of consent. The wheels on the bus go round and round. So in your relationship, that wheel has to go in full rotation because if the wheels don't go round, that means y'all stuck.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So we want to make sure that y'all keep this thing moving, and wheels need to be oiled. Come on, baby, you got to help me. I feel my help coming out. Those wheels have to be oiled. We were talking about something earlier today. We talked about, oh my God, I don't think I'm like you now. I don't think I should say that.
Whatever it is, don't say it today.
It's important that in our giving and our receiving, we take into account how the other person feels. That's what consent is all about. To make sure that my person is fully engaged with what it is I'm trying to get out of it. Because if she's not enjoying it, then that's not good for me. I want to make sure that what I'm asking my wife to do, that she can give it to me wholeheartedly. Because what we don't want as men is roadkill. We don't want our wives just laying there going through the motions because they have to. I much rather my wife be honest and say, I can't give you this full-hearted tonight, but I can give you this. And then I love the nights when she is full-hearted and she can. And then it makes me want to reciprocate and to give her what she needs. So we're hoping tonight that we touch on something that has helped you to say, I want to be a better lover. And I want to know who this is for. When I'm giving something, that's for her. When she's giving me something, that's for me. When she's asking me to do something for her and I give it the way she wants, that's for her. But watch this, there's going to be some nights where we're going to be giving and receiving at the same time. That's the beauty. I love it when we both arrive at orgasm together. Those nights are rare, but when it is, that lets me know that we have arrived at the same place at the same time, because somewhere along that wheel of consent, we have been intentional on making sure we know who it's for.
Right.
And the more you are able to know who it's for, the more pleasure both of you will be able to receive. So thank y'all for being on tonight. We want to remind you again that we have sold out of our Love in the Bluff marriage retreat. Do not despair. We'll be coming back. As a matter of fact, baby, I'm excited about the international retreat next year.
Correct.
Just tease them a little bit. Tell them about that.
Well, every other year we try to do a domestic retreat and then do an international retreat. So next year, our international retreat, we're scoping out a place in Mexico. So get your passports ready.
Yes.
It's going to be around the same time, the top of the month in June. We'll put all that information out as soon as we get everything settled. But stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be sexy. We like being around the Caribbean, and we're looking around Cancun, and there's an all-inclusive hotel. We want to go scout it out first, because we never want to take you somewhere where we don't want to go. And we like going and staying in nice places. The service has got to be good.
Absolutely.
The scenery's got to be good. The beds got to sleep good, because we're going to need them beds.
And the food needs to be good.
All of that. And so we're going to scout that out. And probably by the end of this June, we'll be able to come back and tell you how to reserve your spot for next year, because you don't want to miss. How many couples did we take to Jamaica?
I think it was 66.
66. Ooh, 66. I thought you were going to say 69. We took about 60 some couples to Jamaica. It was amazing. We had an amazing good time. Now, I could go back to Jamaica every year, but I want to mix it up. And so we're looking at Cancun for 2025. But we're going to have some other opportunities to meet up with you domestically. And like we said, don't forget 901 Live on June the 8th.
On the 8th, that's Saturday.
That's Saturday night. We still have tickets for that. It's a R&B showcase here in Memphis, Tennessee, showcasing some of the best R&B artists in our Mid-South area. And you still can get tickets for that. Go on Eventbrite or go on my Facebook page, and you can see how to purchase those tickets. Anything you want to say to the couples before we leave tonight?
Oh, did we tell them about Eden Circle?
No, tell them about that one more time.
In the event that you haven't heard about our program called Eden Circle, and we're just a bunch of married couples wanting to stay married. But at this time, we have this community where we're doing counseling. We have master classes. We have meetups. We do date nights. So it's
pleasure parties.
It's
pleasure parties is where we introduce you to toys and gels and lubricants and games that you can practice at home. Why are you ashamed of that?
I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it.
Because this is naked and unashamed.
You're right. You're absolutely correct.
I was just checking.
But in the event that you are interested, go to theedencircle.com. That again is theedencircle.com.
We love you guys. Listen, if this helped you, would you do us a favor and help other couples? I'm telling you, there's a lot of couples out there that need to be liberated and emancipated from the rigidity that they've learned that sex is nasty and you can't talk about it. Somebody stopped me the other day and said, I've been listening to you, Pastor, you know, what you're talking about. on the naked and unashamed stuff, and I don't care what they say about you and your wife, talk about sex. I said, I don't either, because I am tired of the world kidnapping this gift of sexuality that God created and making it something perverted and nasty, when it's a beautiful thing that God meant between a husband and a wife to seal their covenant, to keep their union tight. Y'all ain't gonna shame me into talking about what God created. Come on. So we're gonna have a good time. So share these good nuggets with other people who are trying to stay married and live out this wonderful union that God created between a husband and a wife. Listen, we love you guys. Subscribe to Naked and Unashamed SLS. And until next time, make sure you love on all 4 quadrants. Get them wheels a rolling. Proud Mary, keep on rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling down the river. We'll see y'all next time. Rolling, rolling, rolling down the river. We'll see y'all next time on Naked and Unashamed SLS. We'll see you there. Hey everybody, it's Spencer stopping by. We got some exciting news. Eden Circle is back open. That's right. We have a Inner Circle program that helps you to take your marriage to the next level through some personalized mentorship. There's 2 things that are needed in order for your marriage to make it. You need some great coaches. Rhonda and I have been married for 30 plus years, and we want to share with you some of our experiences. And then you need a community of people who are trying to stay married. Wouldn't it be great to share ideas and to build stories together with other couples who are trying to make it? Baby, tell them the benefits of being in our circle.
Some of the benefits of being in our circle is, like Stacy said, the mentorship, the counseling. We have master classes, quarterly meetups. We have fun together. We teach different techniques because we believe in the sanctity of marriage, and we want to keep married people married.
And if you're going to be married, you might as well have fun doing it. We want to help you to show you how to have fun, how to take your lovemaking to the next level, your communication, and to help you in spots when you get stuck, to help you get out of those ruts by coaching and mentorship. So simply go to, listen, if you want to be a part of this circle, go to www.theedencircle.com and register today. We want you in our inner circle.